Mary Miller also passed a Congressional Review Act, which fell entirely on party lines. And it's how the media portrays it. It's how our elected officials vote for it. But that's not representative of our society at large. We know that the overwhelming majority of people agree with us. They know the differences between men and women, and they know that allowing men into women's sports is wrong.
Well, Tom, we know that biological women are the only individuals who can actually have children. And with that said, there are a lot of little girls, whether they swim, whether they play softball, or any other type of sport, there is a mother driving them to practice, driving them to games, who want to see their girls actually compete fairly. So with that said, how do you see this playing out as a political issue in this year's election?
John, it should be a huge political issue because I think the polling would be through the roof with respect to keeping men separate from women in sports, especially contact sports. We're not talking about minor league baseball here. We're talking about a boxing ring. There was an example in North Carolina where a transgender male, hit the volleyball and hurt a woman's face. I mean, I think she had a concussion. This is not only unfair, John, to your point, it is reckless and dangerous. And I want to see the polling on this, and I want to see Kamala Harris try to defend this. She's supposed to be for women. By the way, where are the women's groups? Where's the National Organization of Women? I think after Trump was elected, would they have a million women's march against Trump? Over what? Where's the million women's march to defend girls and young women who are trying to compete in sports? Where's that outrage? I don't see any of it. And the left-wing media is part of the problem. You think anybody writing a story, they must have daughters. They must have some sort of emotional connection with this. Yet we see silence. There's no outrage from the media, except for Newsmax that I see.
That's a really good point. And it seems as if the Olympics is trying to embody everything woke. So from the opening ceremony, which was very offensive to believers around the world, and now to going totally woke on transgenderism. Caitlin, do you think that the Olympics is going to lose some of its gold, some of its following, some of its worldwide enthusiasm because of all this?
I think after the opening ceremonies, I think they already have, unfortunately, which is sad for the athletes who worked so hard, essentially worked their entire lives to get to that, the pinnacle of their careers. I remember as a kid, I would watch the Olympics with my parents and stuff, and so to see the egregious displays that they did at the opening ceremonies and now allowing men into women's sports, it's incredibly disappointing, and I think they will lose a lot of their funding, and I think they should. I think they should take some hurt for this. We've seen in the past these two specific fighters that they're allowing, these men that are being allowed in the boxing events, which actually start today, they were previously disqualified. That should tell you something right there for not making the guidelines to qualify as a woman because they're a man.
Exactly.
And so it's sick what's happening.
Totally. And you know what? This has Obama written all over it, and we have to do more than pull athletes. We have to pull funding. And perhaps President Trump should actually start a new coalition. Biological women in sports for Trump.
White women.
Thank you for joining First Edition.
Coming up, the day's top headlines. Alex Kramer